Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
For all of you who listened to the super bad episode, yes, this time it is a beer.
Okay.
That's it. Just get rolling, man. Come on. What do you want
right,
me to say? It's beer. It's simple. It's a blue moon light sky. This ain't fancy shit. This is the real fucking deal. Get moving.
All right, then. So, hello, everyone. Welcome back. Comics edition of the Cup of Joe podcast. And today we got 4 different books that we want to be talking about. 2 books I read alone, because I'm a bigger nerd than other Joe. And then 2 books we both read, so we'll be discussing those a little bit later. So, to kick us off, how about we talk about some Miles Morales Spider-Man first, Joe? If you remember, we were currently in the midst of the Clone Saga. I say we're no longer in the midst of because this is the final issue of the Clone Saga. That's right. Something titled The Clone Saga is only 4 issues long.
Do you think that was premeditated to be 4 issues, or do you think it was response to how it was being received?
Oh, no, I think it was probably only supposed to be 4 issues long. Because once you start making stuff, like in the comics industry, what it should be, it's like you have at least like 2 or 3 issues probably completed by the time, the current issue is coming out. So it's like you're always working and you should have a couple issues already in the bag. Should, being the operative word there. But I doubt that this thing was shortened because of it wasn't selling well or wasn't doing critically well or anything like that. But so we enter into the final issue, and so I'm happy to say there's no... Remember how I said I was going to, yeet myself out of a fucking window if they were like, oh, no, I'm the real Miles. No, I'm the real Miles. If they did anything like that. There's none of that in this issue, Joe. It's just Miles arrives home to find Billy gone, his younger not daughter. I made this mistake last time. His younger sister gone. Baby sister is missing. And his father has been, smacked around and is, on the ground. And he's like, wait, is it the real you? And he's like, yeah, Dad, it's the real me. He's like, oh, thank God. And he's like, he took her. And his mother comes back to the house, and she's just like, you gotta go get Billy back. And he's like, I know where to go. Actually, no, he doesn't know where to go. He gets a call, and it's the friggin' Salim, and he's just like, I have your baby sister. And he's like, yeah, I know, fuckface, I gotta come find you now. And he's like, come find me on the bridge. And so he goes off to, I'm pretty sure it's the Brooklyn Bridge. And he finds Salim up there with his little sister, and he's just like, all right, dude, I'm here. I'm sorry, I broke your cure. We can try and fix it. And Salim is all evil and like, no, there is no time. I will make you suffer. And he puts down the baby, and they just have it goes from Spider-Man to Dragon Ball Z real fucking quick. And I mean, the way the fight scene is, depicted with, the venom blasts going about and everyone with swinging all over the fucking place. It looks like they're flying and shooting, key blast or some shit. It's insane. Unfortunately, it's not. There was an artist, I don't remember exactly what his name was, but the first artist that was on the Miles Morales Spider-Man book in the beginning of this current run was phenomenal. He would draw stuff in such unique ways and have really awesome layouts. The current artist is a little more generic and cookie cutter. Again, not to say his art is bad, it's not, but it's like a 6 out of 10 compared to the other guy who was an 8 out of 10. So I've been a little disappointed with the art in this book for a while now. And so some of these fight scenes, I'm just sort of it's just kind of whatever fight scenes. But so, anyway, they fight for a bit. Mind Spinner comes back, the one that has the weird mind powers. He gets taken out by Miles, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, wait, Salim and Mind Spinner kill each other. I don't remember how, it's not important. But Shift also comes back, the one that's a big blobby thing that kind of helped Miles in the previous issue. And he's just sort of like, hey, you're my new brother. And so now, not Salim, Shift is a new part of the family, I guess, going forward. And also he gets Billy back and blah, 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 blah. And that's basically the end of it. It was basically just a big fight scene. Salim and Mind Spinner are quote-unquote dead. You don't see the bodies. Clones disintegrate, but also I doubt it. And then Shift is the new brother. So you come out of this with a new character, possibly gonna be like a mainstay in the Miles comics going forward, and that's pretty much it. And I'm gotta say, I'm like, thank God this is only 4 issues because I want to move the fuck on from this boring shit.
Yeah, it sounds like they couldn't really commit. It was like it's almost like why do it in the first place? Like you're happy, like okay, this was kind of boring. There's no point in doing this. Let's move on. But at the same time, I feel like there's two sides to this where it could be like okay, if they actually committed and made spent more time and made a good story out of it, maybe it would have been worth it. But based off what you said, it seems like if they were to stick with what they were going with, it's probably smarter to stop while they were ahead, even though they weren't even that far ahead.
Yeah, no, they weren't that far ahead, and also there wasn't even really that much of a story. It's like they kind of just like they fucking sped through as much as they
Yeah,
could in those four
it
issues,
sounds like they
being
did
like
it just to say there was a clone saga.
kind of yeah, like obviously they're gonna try and capitalize on the title of the Clone Saga or whatever, but I don't care. I just wanted it to be a good story, and it was fine. It wasn't really anything you could skip this entire arc. I don't. It doesn't fucking matter. But so whatever. Miles Morales Spider-Man number 28 gets a big from me. But then moving on to Nightwing 82, which is not going to get a from me because this is actually remember in the last issue there was that big retcon where it was like Melina Zuko's dad is actually John Grayson, Dick Grayson's father, and everyone was kind of like what the fuck? What are you doing, Tom Taylor? What are you doing? Because that's like a massive retcon. And I said, I believe I said to you, I was like, I don't hate it. I need to see where it goes before I can really solidify how I feel on it. And I will say, I'm feeling better after this issue.
What
So
did
here we go.
did Nightwing and Zuko, do the did they pull a Luke and Leia where they did the dirty and they're like, oh, actually we're brother and sister, and then I was like,
No, they didn't. They didn't do any incestual things
damn it.
yet. But whatchamacallit? Yeah, so basically this entire issue, it starts off actually with a really, really cool sequence where Nightwing is like okay, and like he was demasked by Melinda. Sorry, that's her name, Melinda. And he was like, wait a minute, here, give me my mask back. And she's like, wait, I don't really think you need it right now. I already know who the fuck you are. And he's like, no, 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 give it. And he grabs it and he puts it on and he goes, Oracle. And Barbara's like, Dick, you're back. And he's like, call off the extraction. Like, I'm fine. You can calm down. And I'm kind of like, what the fuck is going on? And then Barbara's just like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, no, I'm okay. You can call everyone off. And she just goes, all right, guys, you can, like, calling off the extraction protocol. And it cuts to all of the Bat family, including Batman, like in a bat plane, zooming. Like you have the Titans, you have Batman in the bat plane, and a couple other Robins and other Bat family characters, all in different areas, running to Nightwing's last location to come and fucking rescue
That's
him.
awesome.
And it's so fucking cool. I love it. It's so great. And that's why he was freaking out because he's like, you're about to have a fuck ton of superheroes busting down your door if you don't give me my goddamn mask back right now. But so she's like, okay, call it off. And everyone's like, Batman says to Barbie, he's like, are you sure? And she's just like, yeah, no, he says he's fine. And they're all like, all right, return him back. And so they all kind of go back to their own places. But I was like, God, Tom Taylor is so good. Fuck, so good. And that's only like the first 4 pages of this entire issue. Then the rest of the issue, Melinda brings Dick to, like, she gets him to change so that way he's not in his Nightwing costume, because then she brings him to her mother, Mei Lee Lin, and the entire rest of the issue is just her explaining the backstory of, Melinda's lineage and what happened. Turns out Mei Lee was, forced to marry, whatever Zuko's first name is. I can't remember what the fuck his first name is. Bad Zuko, not Avatar Zuko, comic book Zuko. And she didn't really like him, so when they went to the circus, she ran off, and John Grayson and whatever Dick's mother's name is, I don't remember what her name was, but she gets rescued by them, and they kind of humiliate Zuko in the process, like all the circus folk, but mainly the Flying Graysons. And so he leaves, but so now he has like a vendetta against them because they made him look like an idiot or something like that. But so Melee kind of travels with the circus, Haley Circus. That's where the Graysons are from, and this is before the two, like John and whatever Dick's mother's name is, they weren't together at that point. So
Important.
there was a bit of time. Yes, there was a bit of time. So it doesn't make him like he broke up with the mom and then got with her and slept with her and then went back to the like. No, 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 no. They weren't together at this point. So John and Maylee got together for a little bit, and then she got yoinked back out by Zuko like a year or a couple months later because he came back and found her at the circus, and then obviously he had the vendetta against the Graysons, so that's what ended up leading to him eventually killing them later on down the line, orphaning Dick, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. But again, the entire issue was just them talking over that sort of stuff, so it filled in the gaps without wrecking anything, and making anyone seem like an asshole. And so it was like it was a fine retcon that has now woven its way into the history of Dick Grayson's lineage. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then the end of the issue is just him walking with Melinda, and then all of a sudden there's like a big pounding at the door, and Melinda is asking one of her secretaries, like, what is that? And then the secretary is like, Blockbuster's arrived. And Blockbuster's basically like the kingpin of Bloodhaven. So that's where this issue ends off at. So I'm expecting there to be some big old punch out happening next issue, or some I don't know, some sort of like political intrigue going on, because Melinda is the mayor, but only because of Blockbuster. So Blockbuster is like the real puppet master behind everything. I don't know, but I'm excited. This book continues to be fucking great. If that wasn't evident from our reaction to the very beginning of this issue, it's good. I love it. Nightwing number 82, solid. Go pick it up.
What do you think about the cover?
It's good. I wouldn't say it's like anything incredible, but the artist of this book, I'm gonna forget. I think his name's like Ricardo or something like that. He's great, and his covers I think have all been pretty damn good as well. This one's a little bit different because it's like a bunch of different like character.
It's kind of like a
almost.
collage.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's fine. Like I don't think it's his best one, but I do love. It's like a very like a pop art kind of style that
yes.
he goes for with the covers, and I like it a lot.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your opinion, because I saw it and I was like, ooh, it's a little different seeing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not your standard hero shot of something.
Yeah. So, well, Joe, that brings us back to where we always get back to.
Mm-hmm.
Radiant Black. Number 6, Joe.
Number 6.
Number 6. Wow. We're moving along. And this is pretty much I think this is the first issue without our two main boys. This is all about Radiant Red, and we get the Radiant Red origin story.
Yes.
Joe, what do you feel about this cover?
To be honest, I wasn't that. I was kind of like, yeah, it's just actually.
It's
Which
simple.
cover did you get?
I got the
Yeah,
standard.
because hang on, I'm looking up the different covers for it. Radiant Black 6 covers. Let me see. Because I'm pretty sure I got the one of whatchamacallit, like the Red Radiant. Yeah, she's unmasked, and so like you see like her family in the background. Which one did you get?
Standard, the one where it's the back of Radiant Red holding
In front of the house.
Yeah, with the two bags of cash.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's, simple cover, gets the job done. It lets you know kind of what you're getting into. But what I really want to talk about here, Joe, obviously we got to talk about backstory, but the art in this book.
Yes.
I want to know, Joe, how do you feel about it?
I like the art.
Okay.
It's different. It's very different.
It's manga
it's
inspired.
Like a cool. It's manga inspired. It's blocky. It honestly kind of reminds me of Peach Momoko, but that might just be the the coloring side of it.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, but so like that's what I was kind of noticing with it. I was like, it's definitely much more manga inspired, which fits with the theme of this being, Power Rangers inspired, which is obviously originally from Japan, that sort of stuff. So, there's the through line of that. But the art throughout the rest of this book, I think it's fine. It's not like I'm not crazy about it, but I don't think it's bad by any means. I'm just like, all right, this is some solid art, especially because like the subject material of most of this book, it's fairly civilian for most of it. Like you only see the radiant black costume and effects very minimally in this series or in this issue, but it works fine for what it is.
Yeah. So this is more towards what I enjoy with art. Like I love this manga inspired art. As soon as I opened it, I was like, "Oh shit, right up my alley." Um, which is also funny too because I believe Satomi, who is the name of Radiant Red, I believe she has an Asian background. Um,
Yes, definitely.
yeah, yeah, like even yeah, they got like sushi and stuff at the dinner. But so we're getting her backstory, and I don't want to go too much into details, but basically we find out that she is married to or fiance or married? No, fiance, I think.
They're engaged.
Engaged, yes. So fiance, um, engaged to this guy who, based off her family's description, is like an A+ dude, like super nice, just a character guy. But we soon discover that he has a bit of a gambling problem, and it's pretty dark actually with their relationship, and he's definitely manipulative. This is a toxic relationship, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm starting to see where this is going. um and we see Satomi get her powers, which the page where she does that little transformation, the full page, I love it. um
Hmm.
but I kind of wished, like, I don't know, that we saw a little bit more of her finding it, like maybe some internal dialogue or something. It's kind of just she's out at like their little like construction thing where she's trying to get some space, and this thing just crash lands onto right outside her front door, and she ends up touching it. And it's like, I would have liked just, I don't know, maybe just an internal monologue of like, oh, like what's going on a little bit more. But we see her transform, and I found it very cool. And we later discover that her fiance has so much of a gambling problem that he took the money from her college savings. And I gotta say, the way he responded to this, I literally wanted to smack the book. The fact that he was like, well, I never actually thought you were gonna go, so I thought, why not? And I was like, bro, oh my god.
Fucking suit up, get like that big rock foot that you got when you first got the red radiant, and then just kick him in the balls.
Dude,
Just a
I
pow.
don't even think he has any. Like, oh my god. But
Fair point. Fair point.
I gotta say, Joe, I liked this little kind of like this 9 panel page where we see her driving off, transforming, stealing the engine, which is a reference back to one of those earlier issues. Remember when Nathan
Yes.
found her in the junkyard? Again, I don't understand why she was doing the engine. Um,
I think she's absorbing the metal to make like the suit more powerful.
maybe. But we end up seeing that the reason Radiant Red was stealing cash from that bank, I think in the first issue, um,
Hmm.
is because this is Satomi getting money to pay off her fiance's gambling debt and hopefully, kind of actually set up a living. So something that wasn't malicious, like it was displayed in the first issue. Like I got the vibe in the first issue that like, oh man, this person got these powers and they wanted to do it for bad. They just like, okay, I can steal shit. Like they're gonna be evil. But we soon discover, it's not. You can't just assume people's intentions. She had a lot of stuff going on, and I really sympathize with her in this issue. And I gotta say, I really like Satomi.
Yeah, I think that's what this issue does really well, where it's like, well, I might not like it a whole lot because it doesn't have anything to do with the story that I've been so invested in so far. It does a good job in recontextualizing some of the other crap that we've seen in some of those first 5 issues, and then also giving more of a character to this other person who we thought for a while was just sort of like this bad person. But again, you start to see the cracks in that in issue 4 when she fights against Nathan, and then she's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to start breaking down this building, and now you're dead because you tried to save everyone inside of it." And then when she ends up fighting Marshall, and he's insanely fucking pissed because she's the reason Nathan is dead or comatose at this point. And just seeing, but that's the beauty of these indie comics where it's like you can craft your story differently because our brains are so used to being like, oh yeah, here's the color swapped version of our hero who's just going to be the bad guy, and then it's like, no, they technically kind of were the bad guy, but now it's like they're their own character, and this is what led them to this point. So that stuff's just, it's cool, and it's one of the best things about this series.
Yeah, I agree on all those points. I gotta say this was I'd say a good issue. It's something that they needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you where I'm like, oh my God, so much stuff was happening. Why did we have to jump back to this? But it was necessary to establish the background of Radiant Red, which um, since there are multiple Radiants, I wonder are the Radiant Purple and Radiant Yellow going to get a whole issue dedicated to them later on?
Yeah,
I don't know, but for some reason, the fact that Radiant Red has gotten a whole issue makes me think that Satomi's going to be a pretty big character in the overarching story.
yeah, I would definitely not doubt that, especially because now she's got the trauma or the guilt of potentially, nearly
Yeah.
killing one of the other Radiants.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you could do some interesting stuff with that. And I hope they kind of tap into a lot of that potential. Um, but yeah, so Radiant Black number 6, solid. I'm excited to get back to number 7 with like the actual main plot and that glitchy
Yeah.
ghost boy.
Did you see that it's called Radiant and the S is in like parentheses because it's going to be, I guess, getting back to what was happening when they all showed up, which I think is pretty cool.
Is that the title of the next issue?
Yeah, Radiant. And then the S is
Interesting.
in, like I said, parentheses, which is pretty cool.
Okay, I
But
did not, but that is cool.
yeah. So now, Joe, we got to talk about something that pre-show I didn't think Joseph had read or bought, but he did. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Marvel's Moon Knight #1. Joe, I really want to take the lead on this, but I need to know your opinions first. Just bring it in, man.
You want to know my opinions before you do stuff?
I want to. Oh God, I'm already getting bad vibes. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not drunk enough for
No
this.
bad vibes. No bad vibes.
Okay, okay. Well,
I
Joe,
enjoyed it.
go.
I had a good
Talk
time.
about it. Talk about it. And let me hear, because I
All
want to
right.
build off it.
All right, real briefly. I got the McNiven cover because everyone who could
Oh,
got the McNiven
oh my
cover.
God.
It looks so much like a friggin' David Finch cover.
Yeah.
I'm just like, Jesus Christ. But then the actual artist, Alessandro Capuccio. I don't know if I just added all
It's
of that. I
close
don't
to
know if that.
cappuccino.
It is very close to Cappuccino. But yeah, his internals, like he's the actual artist of the book. Pretty damn solid, I must say. I really enjoyed his art style for this. Lots of different characters that Moon Knight got to fight in this, and it does because like this is a #1 because Marvel is making a Moon Knight TV show and blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. It's a good to get Moon Knight back
He's
into the
coming
heads of
back.
everyone going on right now. He's coming back, baby, and I gotta say, like this, I've been I've seen Moon Knight in a couple of different series, and like I generally know kind of what he is and what he's about, and what some of his abilities and mental or psychological things are because he's got like split personalities and like all this other stuff. This issue does, I think, a very good job of catching readers up on the many different histories of Moon Knight, and then reintroducing you to the current status quo of what Moon Knight will be going forward, which I think is a very difficult task to pull off. #1, just in general, and then #2, to make it entertaining, to make me actually care about it. I'm like, this is a damn good first issue of a series, I'd say.
Yes, yes, and yes. Yes. Okay. McNiven cover, great. Really great. I also love the Moon Knight naming, like kind of with that like crescent moon going through the middle. I think that's
Oh yeah,
very nice. But wow. The Capuccio internals, again, right up my alley. This gives me oh my goodness, who did Dark Detective? Trying to think.
Dan Mora.
It may be Mora, but gives me similar vibes. I think if I'm getting the artist correct, I'm probably getting it wrong.
Yeah, Dark Detective with Batman in the future was Dan Mora.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Um, I love it. I really enjoyed this book. I had such a fun time watching, not watching this, reading this. Um, I'm a pretty big fan of Moon Knight. Like when I was in high school and I like didn't really know comics that much, but I watched YouTube videos about them. I really liked learning about Moon Knight and his history. I have this one Moon Knight trade, which I remember when I first got it. Actually, Joe, it was freshman year when we went up to Cyborg One. I read it
Oh
and I
yeah.
was like, "Oh wow, this was fucking sick." And I remember giving it to you, and you're like, "Joe, this really wasn't that good." Um, I wanted to think, wait a minute. I'm like, I still have that. So I looked at it. Oh my God, I can't believe I thought that was good. Wow. Compare that to this, it's insane. So, I mean, there's nothing too crazy that we need to talk about with the story in this first issue. But needless to say, Moon Knight's back. If Capuccio sticks with the art, I'm very happy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Moon Knight's personality, even though he has multiple personality disorder, um, the way his demeanor and how he comes off, I like the portrayal of it because he's not. People say like he's Marvel's Batman, which I get it,
He is not.
but
He's not.
he's not like I'm Batman. Don't fuck with me. He has a fucking personality, and he's like, look, man, you are on my turf, so don't mess around. Go away. Like he has this different vibe to him, and it's really like you sense it. He's not bland. He has a personality, and you get it in this first issue, which I'm really happy about. And I gotta say, I also love the way he's drawn in this issue. I think it's great. Um, and I love the costumes. And I again because we have a couple. There's different versions of Moon Knight. There's Mister Knight, Moon Knight. Like it gets a little confusing very fast. But the cool part about all this is that you get to see all these different costumes, which is I love. I
Yeah.
fucking love it.
I love Mr. Knight or the Mr. Spectre, I think is what he might also go as
Yes.
when he's in the white suit and the
Oh,
white mask. It's so clean and it's such a cool look. I love it so much. And that's the like he's dressed like that whenever he's talking with the therapist that the Avengers got for him. Which I also found was cool. So like I'm not caught up on any Avengers or anything like that, but I guess he was working with some Avengers recently, and he's gone off to do his own thing, and so whatchamacallit, they got him a therapist to deal with whatever the
Doctor
fuck was going on inside of his
Sturman.
head. Yes, so it's cool seeing that aspect because that's how they contextualize and bring in all of his history. Like that's how they
Such a
organically bring it
good
up.
job. Again, I loved it. I think it was so obviously he has a mental disorder, so it would make sense for him to talk to a therapist. And the fact that she makes a connection that she was hired by the Avengers, I love that. I love how they use that to kind of set this whole issue up. And I also love the therapist as a character too. She seems
Hmm.
really fucking cool. Um, yeah,
She seems tough. Like I'm
yeah.
just like, you seem like you've gone through some shit yourself. I want to see what the fuck you've been up to.
I also like with this how it's kind of like Moon Knight starting like a cult, or she calls it a religion, the
Yeah.
Midnight Mission, and it's very cool. And I like how Moon Knight doesn't like confirm or deny it. He's like, well, it's not necessarily a religion. It's just my mission. And she's like, it's pretty much a cult, dude.
Hmm. Yeah, and then he has he meets up with Doctor Bader. How would you pronounce that? Badr.
All let me see. Do I have be a Bader maybe?
Doctor Bader, something
I
like
just have
that.
him written down as the Doc.
Yeah, exactly. He ends up meeting him on one of his nights, and he becomes, or it turns out he's like one of the other fists of Khonshu, which
Hunter's
is what Moon
Moon.
Knight is. Hunter's Moon. I was like, that's kind of like an edge lord kind of name in my opinion, but also he seems like a pretty cool
Dude,
guy, like a cool
I wanted to
character.
ask Joe. I'm not sure how much you know about Moon Knight, but is Hunt quote unquote Hunter's Moon a someone that's been around in the Moon Knight story, or does that seem like something new?
I think it's something new.
That was the vibe I was getting as well.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how they're going to play off of each other because he seems like he's going to be a more like he seems like he's going to be the Punisher to Moon Knight's Daredevil, where he's going to be I'm going to be a more
Ooh.
brutal version of you and show you that this is what you have to do to really keep your section of your city safe. So I'm all for it. And I also like how Moon Knight, the entire issue, it's just him going around and fighting just a bunch of different shit. Like he's fighting against vampires, he's fighting against vermin, he's fighting against like just like other creatures of the night. I'm like, this is really cool. Like I really didn't know that Moon Knight fought those different things because I'm so like on the peripheral of what he actually does. But seeing that sort of stuff, it was a really cool vignettes of like what he is capable of.
Yeah, yeah. So two things I want to build off upon that. Um, One thing that I forgot to say earlier is I like how they're making it consistent that Moon Knight spray paints the crescent moon in his neighborhood to let people know, like, I got your back, and to let bad guys know I'm in the neighborhood. One thing,
Mhm.
I love that. But I gotta say, there's a little bit of comedy in this issue, and I really enjoy it. It's very subtle. But there are a couple of moments where I was like, like just little things made me laugh. Like that one, it's 2 pages of Moon Knight like fighting like the zombies, the Frankenstein-looking characters, and all these different things. And in the one corner, he's just kind of sweeping. In the one scene where he's talking to his therapist, and he asks like the vampire who is now his like secretary to like get him a cup of coffee, and she's like, "Eh, get it yourself." Um, like there's little things where I'm like, wow, I'm like this is actually kind of funny, and it fits his personality where he's this dude where he's just it seems like he's too laid back, like especially when he's talking with the therapist, he's just like so frank and honest. Yeah, I like this all comes back to his personality in this issue. um it's really great. It's something where he's the type of guy that I would like to meet. It sounds so weird to say, but it seems very real. It doesn't seem card like cookie cutter or anything like that. I like it. So if they can stick with that, I'm gonna be pretty happy. Even like him drinking the coffee when they're outside and he's taking a break, he's like, "Oh man, fucking long night." Like little things like that just gives me a little chuckle or makes him more personable. So I really like that. And I also want to ask you, Joe. So Hunter's Moon was, kind of quote unquote revealed in this issue. But I don't think he's a bad guy, right? So he's another Fist of Khonshu, and it seems like you said, Daredevil the Punisher, Punisher the Daredevil, that kind of relationship. But we do get hints of a quote unquote villain in this issue. It's kind of that dude that's working on the laptop doing the research on Mark Spector, and it seems that he's figured out Moon Knight's background and all his different personalities. And we don't get a good look at him. He's this creepy looking dude. He kind of looks like a rat. And I'm thinking, I'm like, who are they going to make this villain? Because I don't know um, too many, like, I actually don't know any Moon Knight villains. But I'm interested to see who this is.
Yeah, I don't know any Moon Knight villains either. It could be a new person, it could be
Mm.
someone from the past, but I'm interested. I'm curious, and I'm on board. Moon Knight number one. Fucking good job. I'm a Moon Knight fan now.
Yeah, for real. If they can keep this up, if you can keep Capuccio as art, I will be very happy because very big fan of these internals. I'm happy this worked out well because I was very nervous that I was going to read this and be like, nope, not sticking with Moon Knight. But you got me hooked. I'm going to keep following this.
Good shit. So, let's talk about what we're picking up next week, Joe. It's a light week for me, actually, if I remember correctly. I believe Wonder Woman number 776. That's right, we're back talking about Wonder Woman. Again, I think it's a bi-monthly book now, or it has been, and I just never realized. And then Teen Titans Academy number, what is it, 6? 5.
Yep.
We're only on 5? Good God, I feel like we've been on this forever. But yeah, finally we're getting back to, I believe it's, is it Sandoval back on the art? Hang on, I'm checking. No, who is this? Tim Sheridan, Lieber. I don't know who Lieber is. Hang on, I can scroll down and find him. Steve Lieber is the artist. Sandoval is still the cover artist. So we're not quite back to the Dream Team, but I don't know. I'm just excited to, get back to the actual storyline that we care about.
Yeah, yeah. The kind of last good thing that happened was that Teen Titans Academy yearbook. That Bat Pack story was not the best. So it looks like the cover's teasing us with a reveal of Red X's face, who he is. So who knows? Maybe we get more hints. Most likely we will. But look, guys, it's like a good hooker. They never just finish you off. They just keep you going. Um, and if anybody knows, DC is the biggest hooker of them all. So, Teen Titans Academy number 5, I'm also getting that. But if you guys listened to last week's comic episode, I also mentioned that I was supposed to read Static Shock or Static Season 1, number 2 this past week, but it got pushed to being released this week that we are recording this issue, the week that this will be released. So I'll be getting that. So I'm excited to see what's up with Static Shock. Yeah, just two for me. Should be good. I'm looking forward to both of them.
Alrighty. So, with all that being said, everyone make sure to tune in next week to hear our take on all of those books, and be sure to leave a like and a comment, do a subscribe, do any of those things, or do none of them. Again, I don't really care. I just enjoy talking about nerdy shit with a fellow Joe, and then posting it for everyone in the world to listen to. Yeah, so read some comics, everyone. We'll love you, we'll leave you, and goodbye.